Hello, and welcome to the podcast, Equipped to March, with WVU Chi Alpha. The hope of this podcast is to equip small groups with sound biblical teachings on God and how to walk with Him, and to equip the small group leader with the tools to lead as God has called them. We pray you are equipped and encouraged by this podcast in order that you can march well for our King on the college campus. Now, please welcome our hosts.
Hey, so welcome back to the Equipped to March podcast. We're excited to be here for our final one of the semester. We have the absolute legend, Christopher Mancias, with us, and we have two special guests. You guys have been here before, but reintroduce yourselves, please.
Sweet. I'm Ian, and that's my dad, Christopher, the legend. So.
It's true.
I'm Jack. I'm an intern with WVU Chi Alpha.
Woo! Sweet. Well, thanks for being with us. Today we are excited. It is the last podcast before summer.
Oh,
Yeah.
So we want to talk about a little bit how to honor God with our summers. I guess like easy question. We've all had good summers. We've all had bad summers. What are some characteristics that you guys have learned from either one of those, having good ones or bad ones?
A lot of my summers were spent working so that I can pay for the next semester. But the cool thing was where I worked, a lot of friends in Chi Alpha worked there as well. And so it's easy to be like, oh, I'm working with my friends, which makes hard work or boring work fun.
Yeah.
It makes you not think about how this is hard work. But even we would go to work together, but then after work we would still be together.
Yeah.
We would go to Starbucks. We would go to one of our houses and just chill there, or we would go get food or something like that.
Yeah, right on.
So
kind of trying to keep that community
Yeah.
throughout the summer. Yeah, man, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and actually, it was at this camp that I met Ian for the first
No way.
time. Yeah, so before he was in my small group at St. Houston, we met at this camp. And then the next summer, there was I remember when we were thinking about it, 14 of us from our resource and our small groups. That it just all guys, the 14 guys that we all knew each other. And, I think that summer was potentially the first time where I really got it. Let's continue this community over the summer. And so I was trying to round up guys March and April to sign up to work at this camp. And so, by the end of it, there was 14 of us.
Wow.
And so it was just so much fun. And there were other guys that were in Chi Alpha, small group leaders, guys in the small group that weren't in our resource, but still worked there. So it was probably 95% of the guys who worked at this summer camp for 2 months with each other were in Chi Alpha and small group and stuff. And so it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, there was one summer that really stood out. It was 2 years ago. I had just gotten an internship in South Carolina where I was working with the DNR down there. And it wasn't optimal conditions, honestly, starting with. I was moving down there by myself. I was living in a 500-person town in the middle of nowhere. I had to work every single day.
it had the one blinky light.
It did have the one blinky light. I think there was a Bojangles, a Taco Bell, and that was it in the entire town.
That's all you need. Yeah.
Get rid of that Bojangles.
But yeah, it was not optimal conditions going down there. But it was cool because I had a set schedule and I had a lot of time that I could spend with Jesus. And initially, it didn't start that way. I think I was spending 15 minutes a day. But eventually it turned into 3 hours every day that I was spending with Jesus. And it was just so amazing. It really helped change what my devotional life would look like, even when I was in school as a senior. It helped me to lead small group on a different level. But it just really changed my life drastically because I felt I don't know, during the school year I had gotten baptized and all these things, but this was kind of the first time that it was kind of all right, we got to put rubber to the road and really walk this out. But it was just so life changing, man.
That's awesome. So how did it how did it grow from 15 minutes a day and then kind of transition to 3 hours a day? That's a big jump.
Yeah, for me, it was like, you know, like I had an Xbox and like everybody has like a phone and stuff. And I just like got off of that primarily. But also it was like, it just got to a point, like we talked about how like desperation leads to desire, which leads to delight.
Yeah.
And really like that's how it worked for me, where like at the beginning it was kind of like, oh, like, yeah, I like kind of like this thing, but I more need it versus like I love doing it. But it got to a point like how when it got to that 3 hours, it wasn't like because I felt like I needed to do it that long. It was like I just love doing it that much.
That's cool.
And it was just really special.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that was one thing that was really good about like the community that Christopher and I were talking about. Because like, dude, my devotional life those summers were like way above and beyond than before, and they have grown since then because like the conversations you're having, like you're constantly around each other, and it's like, hey, I know you read your Bible this morning. What do you have for me? Because I got this for you. Like that really was kind of like starter conversations at times, which was amazing. And so like my devotional life also thrived from 15-ish minutes or whatever or the verse of the day to
the verse of the day.
Oh man, I just sat down and read 1 Timothy. Wow. Oh man, this is like really good stuff.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Yeah, it kind of seems like, I don't know, like tying those together, whether you're in a, you know, everyone in small group right now is going to either go home and have like a lot of people that really love Jesus and really love them around them, or they're not. That's kind of the two options. And so the key to either one of those is that Jesus is with you either way. And you can spend time with him regardless.
I think it's like intentionality is like it's not gonna happen on accident. You're not really gonna like you didn't accidentally find yourself spending time with Jesus for 3 hours. And although like it was, you know, work to motivate yourself to spend 15 minutes with him, you know, it still started with you choosing to sit down for 15 minutes with Jesus, and then it turned into that choice after choice after choice, leading to 3 hours with him. And then, you know, for us at the camp, it was like, I mean, our director was amazing. Chris Gomez, we love you. He's amazing, and probably hated our guys quite a bit, but I'm sure was grateful for us at the same time, I hope. But anyways, he did like summer devos with us. So the whole staff went through like the same book, and it was like a different book every summer. And so super grateful for his intentionality, basically like providing our staff with something to like go through together. And so even that, you know, there was like, when you're aware that the people around you are fighting for the same thing, it makes talking about that stuff a lot easier. And not that it's like walking with Jesus is supposed to be easy, right? Because it's not actually really ever that. But if you're on any kind of team fighting for the same thing, then like there's that accountability. There was one time where everyone was hanging out in the same room. It was like staff break after dinner or whatever, and I was reading this book, Hosea, Heart and Holiness of God by G. Kimball Morgan, and I kind of got there before everyone else did, and I'm reading it, and it's just a crazy book, and I start like kind of tearing up a little bit, and the room starts filling up, and I'm like about to weep because of what's in this book, and I just close the book, I go to my room, and I just lose it. But I think it was just cool. I was like, it's not that I was comfortable, but I trusted the people in the room. To where I could it
was a shared room.
Right. Gotcha. So that I could read this book knowing that the people around me were like wanted the same thing. You know, and I didn't feel awkward like reading it there or even going to my room or telling people afterwards like, hey, I was about to lose it. I just had to leave, you know? And so it was just, I don't know, there was like comfort, you could say. I don't know, just like, I don't know, like trust. And so having people like that around you when you're trying to grow with Jesus is super important.
That's right.
And so if you can figure out how to do that this summer, then make it happen. Because it makes those spiritual disciplines, spending time with Jesus, like that much better.
Yeah, that's good. It makes me think like there was a summer pretty early on in college for me where I was working like a landscaping job, and it was like my boss was basically like a peer, like he was like my age. I mean, just like an absolute stud still, like amazing guy, and like hungry for God, like for real, but way more than I was at that point in my life. And I had kind of just started walking with Jesus for real, and so did my friend. So like there was 3 of us in the truck, and our boss was like awesome, like super generous, like gave us like all this. Yeah, it was great. It was a great summer, but it was hard work. And so at the end of the day, we're up early, and out until basically dark in the summer. So it's like late at night, late-ish. And me and my friend that were working together, we had kind of just gotten right with God and like started walking with God around the same time. So we were still, training wheels kind of time. And we were just dead tired every night. Like, dude, I can't even like think, like all I want to do is eat and go to sleep. And we would like always like kind of stay at each other's house. But one day, like probably a couple weeks in, we were just kind of like, dude, we have to do something. Like something has to change, because we're like with each other a lot. But I mean, we're like having good conversations in the truck, but like once we're working, it's kind of like it's loud. You're not really like, oh, hey, mowing along like next to each other, talking about what the Lord's speaking to you, and so, or cutting trees or whatever. And so basically we were like, you know what? Like we need to do something. Like we need to resolve to be around other people, because otherwise it's just going to be us 3, and that would be good. Like it would be fine. But we realized like we needed to like really fight to be around others as well. And basically like I'm going to live just sleepy all the time. Like it doesn't matter. I'm going to get up, because we're up at, 5 or 6 to be at work by the time the sun comes up, and we're hitting it all day. And then at night, that's when people are hanging out in the summer, typically college students. It's not like they're up early, right? Yeah. Unless you have like a job like that. And so the only way we could really be around any of our other friends was to choose to be sleepy, in a safe way. We're still operating like power tools and stuff. So we're not like dead. But yeah, there were some days where it was like, okay, we worked really hard, heat, sweaty. We need to like basically just choose to be around other people. And so I think just as we were choosing to be with Jesus each and every day, and like you guys are saying, like that was foundational for us that summer. And man, that summer was amazing. Like grew closer to Jesus, but without that choice of kind of being around others. And none of these people were in Chi Alpha. Like it was like people that loved God for me back home, because I don't think anybody even lived remotely near me that was from Chi Alpha. But I got around godly people, and we just kind of decided for ourselves, like, okay, Jesus comes first, and sleep kind of has to come last, which is hard, So that was like really, really big deal. So, even if you're in a place where, you don't have people that are in Chi Alpha, like you were saying, I think the other day you mentioned a church that you went to.
Yeah, there was a church that you actually had told me about down there, because
someone told me about it.
Yeah, because somebody told you about it. But
Seth told me about it. Yeah,
but it was cool. I got to go there twice a week. It was in Florence, which was about an hour away. But it was cool because like even though I had to drive an hour to get there, like I got to hang out with people, and like like people were really excited because I was like a younger person, like I love Jesus, and I was talking about like it was so cool to like get to talk about like what I was reading with them. Wow. But also like getting to hear like some of their advice or like things that they were walking through. It was just like a really cool experience because like they were like, oh my gosh, like you get it, and you're like you're not like you're a young person, which like for a lot of churches that's like a big deal.
Yeah.
To have like a young person there. It was cool like to getting to like serve there too. Like it was just like it was a big deal to them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, what you were saying, Charles, it like made me think of two things. Like y'all resolving together, because it's in the book of Acts, chapter 4, verse 32. You know, like Peter just preached his big sermon that like 3,000 people get saved, and this is crazy. But like it's cool because it says the group of those who believed were of one heart and mind, and that's what you guys did.
Yeah,
you guys were like, hey, we're fighting for Jesus, we're fighting for each other, but we also realize we need more people.
Yeah, that's right.
And y'all like became of one mind and one heart in that. And later on, there's another verse in Philippians chapter 2, verse 2. Complete my joy and be of the same mind, by having the same love, being united in spirit, and having one purpose. And like that's what we all did, you know. Like we, like y'all especially did that. But it's cool to see like all of our stories, no matter like a big community, a little bit of community, no community. During some summers, like we like resolved and we're like of one mind. We're like, we're going to like fight for Jesus and to know him and to see him and to see him in each other's lives.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the Lord shows up too when we're like we're given 110%, you know, he gives us like 200 more percent, you know.
True.
Don't try to do that math.
Yeah. But like I remember that summer I was on leadership and like there was like 6 of us or 7 of us on leadership
at your job
on staff. Yeah.
Gotcha.
At that camp. And so 2 other responsibilities I had was like coordinating with like church groups that were there. So, you know, midnight, hey, you know, we ran out of toilet paper. Can you get us some? We don't know where it is. So, you know, I go get them the toilet paper. You know, I go back. Hey, our toilet's clogged. We can't find the plunger. You know,
at 4 a.m., you're just like, why?
Yeah. Or, you know, like 12
you couldn't have held
1
it.
a.m., you know. And it's like, man, this guy's got a bunch of middle schoolers or high schoolers running around. And, you know, it's just, this is my job, right? So I'm coordinating with like the church leaders. And so, you know, it's like I'm going to sleep at like 1 a.m. Well, I also drove buses that whole summer to bus into like day camp kids. So long story short, oftentimes would go to sleep at 1 a.m. And then every morning would have to wake up at 5 a.m. So 4 hours, 5 hours, maybe 6 hours for like 7 weeks straight is like what I like would operate on. Yeah. And then I'm driving a bus full of 40 kids, Houston traffic at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when it's 100 degrees outside and the bus has no AC. Yeah,
you know,
fun. Yeah.
I bet you're getting paid to really get it.
I was paid with joy and community and
character building,
camp food, free place to stay for the summer. Yeah.
But you also had to pay rent.
Yeah. The place I wasn't living.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like I was, you know, thinking back to that summer. I was like, man, how did I make it? Like I should have died, or I should have crashed, or something, you know. But like the Holy Spirit, I think was just like, man, I was giving it my all, and I think the Holy Spirit just like what Isaiah 41 or Isaiah 40, like trust in the Lord and He'll renew your strength.
Yeah, that's good.
And that word renew is to exchange. And basically, like when I give him my quote strength, you know, which is just weakness compared to his strength, he exchanges his strength for mine. And so, it was just like, it just, if you're like, man, I don't know how I can actually spend time in community and like be effective at my job and spend time with Jesus, just say, Lord, I want to do this for you. Yeah. Because I know you want this from me, and I think He'll show up. And Jesus did it too. I mean, there's he did that same thing. He was pulling late nights and early mornings. And I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it, but there's this one story I remember when I caught it. It says that Jesus basically was with people, you know, after sunset, you know, late into the night, healing people, talking to people. And then the next verse is, and Jesus early the next morning got up and spent time with the Father before he like went out and spent a ton of time more people.
Right.
So he had late nights and early mornings. And so, Jesus like modeled this for us, and he did it himself. And so like, yeah, there's just comfort knowing that like the Son of God had late nights and early mornings.
Yeah.
And like
he doesn't call us to do anything he didn't do himself.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like he was, all right, it's 4, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Gonna go to sleep by 6 and sleep until 10. Yeah. Y'all do the work. Yeah. That's really good. Yeah. It reminds me, just kind of everything we're talking about is here in Colossians chapter 3, basically says, starting in verse 23, whatever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ. And I think it's cool to hear, like you said about the church that you went to and everything that we're saying, like when we begin to like think, okay, I'm going to give God like my school year, but spring break's mine, or like winter break's mine, or summer break's mine. Honestly, like those were the times when I had like the absolute, not just like standstill, but like backslide of breaks, when I believed that the summer was my own. And so it's just cool to hear you guys say like serving is like a really big part of what it means, because that means that like summer's not about you. Because if summer is about you but everything else isn't, then something's off. Like, well, this is my summer. Like, no, it's still about serving. And so really, I think for me, times when I had a bad summer, it was like, these are my plans. Like, if I don't get to do this thing or these things, then like it's a waste. And man, even when I did those things, like go to Six Flags or get to go on the boat or go on vacation or whatever, it was always like very unfulfilling. Even if I like completed all of my like checklist of what I wanted to do that summer for myself, it was so unfulfilling because I really did make it about me. And so I don't know what this would necessarily look like, but always finding a way to serve wherever you're at. Like summer's not a break from being a disciple of Jesus. Summer's not a break from serving others or serving Jesus in others. And so, I don't know. Do y'all have like specific examples of like when you served people over your summer, or anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, we worked at a camp, so all we did was serve.
Yeah. Even just the attitude you guys had, even though you're getting paid for it, it's still a good attitude to have.
Yeah. And it was cool because, like, I remember when the job was presented to me, it was a friend going like, hey, like, do you want to serve this church camp? And I was like, I got nothing going on. Sure. Like, my motive was, I wouldn't say selfish, but it was definitely like, oh, I got nothing better to do.
Neutral.
But it was really cool because I met the boss, Chris Gomez, and he's like this stud of a guy and like super inspirational, great motivational speaker of a guy. But he was like, hey, like you're coming to serve, like, yeah, you're getting paid or whatever, but like you're serving Jesus. You're going to get to know him more. And it like totally shifted the attitude of just like, oh man, it's going to be 110 degrees every single day, 200% humidity. Yeah. I'm going to be touching metal at times that's scorching hot and for some reason painted black for no good reason. So it's even hotter. Yeah. But like my attitude the whole time was just like, dude, these kids are having fun. But like these kids are getting to know Jesus because their pastors or whoever are there telling them about Jesus, and I'm just actively serving Jesus. Yeah. That's like one example I can think of.
That's cool.
So. Yeah. For me, one of the things that I did was we only needed one person to work on the weekends, and typically like it would only take like a couple hours to like do stuff. Like for me, I had to go like feed fish like I think like 2 or 3 times a day. But like I decided to go do that and let like my bosses like sleep in or like spend time with their family on the weekends. Because every morning we had to wake up, I think at like 4:00 or something to start working. But that was one way like I tried to serve them, was like picking up the weekend shift because like I didn't have like anything better to do necessarily.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And like letting them get to spend time with their family. And honestly, like it was cool too, because a lot of the time, like I would have to like wait for things to happen. So I would just like be reading my Bible, like sitting there, like waiting for stuff. So, that was one way that I served them though.
That's cool.
It was such an attitude of servanthood at that camp that I actually, don't do this. This was, so every meal, many of the staff, like, college kids, just like I was, it's like a competition to take each other's like plates and stuff. It's like, oh, like this like humility quote battle or whatever. It's like, oh, I'll get it. No, hey, no, I'll get it. It's like, no, let me get it. And so I was like, this stuff is stupid. I'm not doing this. And so I wouldn't play it. I didn't play the game. If someone was like, hey, let me take your plate, I'm like, thanks. I stopped. And I think it had like reverse effects to where after the summer, I was just like wanting to be served. So
you like started this trend.
So don't do that. Still look for ways to serve, but it was kind of funny. But a way that has always been like a big deal for me, when I would go visit my family in Houston, even like since I've lived up here, there was a couple years where I did this. As a kid, I went to Vacation Bible School, and it was like marked my summer like every single year when I was a kid. And so Vacation Bible School is a week a lot of churches do where kids just come and they like, your parents can drop their kids off, and then, you spend like 8 hours with church volunteers that will babysit your child and talk about Jesus and do skits and stuff, and let them run around. And so I volunteered for Vacation Bible School for like almost every year in college, and then a couple years up here. And honestly, it's just like, why would a college student want to spend a whole week with 10 8-year-olds and make sure that they don't hit each other and go where they need to go and stop talking when someone else is talking? Not many. But it was just like a way that I knew that I could serve.
That's cool.
And so serving your local church is like huge.
For sure.
And so if you have one, do that. If you don't have one, find one.
Yeah. That's cool. I used to, like, whenever I'd go home, especially like in high school. Well, I didn't go home for high school. I wish I was in a boarding school, but I wasn't. But over the summer, it was just kind of like, all right, kind of like what you're saying, like, okay, serve me. Like, I'm at the house, kind of like I could do this. But it was like always a huge task. Like, oh, hey, can you mow lawn? Like, it would be like once a month, and I'd just like make it a big deal, or clean up, or I don't know, clean dishes or
you
clear
only
the
mow
table.
the yard once a month.
No.
It was weekly for me.
In the summer,
I hated it.
It's hot, dude. But I was gonna say something stupid, but I couldn't think of anything. But like when I like went to college and would come home for the summer sometimes, it would still be that kind of mindset, like you were saying. It's not just, oh, today I'm going to choose to be this way. It's like, man, I've chosen to be this way for years. It's going to be a little harder for me to like get out of that habit and to like start a new habit. And so when I would go home, I would like really try and find ways to serve, like even just around the house, like I don't know, put drinks in the fridge or clear the table or wash the dishes or whatever. And it was like always like really kind of apparent that I was trying to do these things, because at first I really wanted everyone to notice, like oh, Charles is helping me, such a big help. But and then it was like really humbling to kind of like understand, like, okay, why am I doing this? It's not to please my mom or I don't know, like be a good big brother or something like that. It really was like, I am serving Jesus. Like the reason I'm putting these dishes away again, and my brother's not. My brother probably did because he's great. But like the reason I'm doing this isn't to make my mom happy or for her to see, oh wow, like look at how much Charles is like changed or anything like that. But like to make Jesus happy. And I think if we can try and find a way to make Jesus happy at home, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you made me think of like me back in high school, so I was a huge football nerd, obviously. I used to do powerlifting, all this stuff, but summers was only about me.
Yeah.
I would eat unhealthy. I wouldn't work out. I would do nothing to like achieve the goal of being the better football player on the team. And so I would come in to two-a-days when those would start up and be like out of shape, unprepared, miserable, utterly frustrated with myself. So like I had a summer where I was totally self-serving. I was super isolated too because all I did was play Elder Scrolls and Fallout and every other RPG game. Or Modern Warfare 2 because it was the only good game ever. But like when I got into college and I worked at this camp, but being in Chi Alpha, the attitude of just like serving each other, even though you're a guest in my house, you're somehow doing something I as a host should be doing. It was just cool. It's like people were serving me, but like that like flipped for me, where it's like no, like they're not necessarily serving me. They're serving Jesus, and I get to do that.
That's cool.
And so when I would go home, it went from like, oh, I'm just gonna go to my room and play video games to like, oh, hey mom, like I got the dishes. Oh the yard needs to be mowed. Let me just go ahead and do that. It became and the cool thing was it became like a joy as well. Like it's
cool.
I made it fun because I had friends who showed me how to make things fun.
Yeah, and it changes when you're doing it for yourself or doing it for like the praise of your mom or whoever. Then like making Jesus happy, like everything kind of changes.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the summer with football because I think it was probably some point after I'd moved up here. That might have been in college, but I started. It was just like a revelation where I was like, oh my gosh. Like, when I'm here, students are here, I'm like it's like in season, and then the summer when I'm not like as a small group leader making disciples in the fashion I do it like during the school year, it's similar to how in football, from January until August, you have the off season. And so summer when walking with Jesus,
there is no off season.
Is not the off season. But the off season in sense that you're not playing games.
Yeah, that's right.
And so their workouts change. And during this time where they're not playing games, they're like, I feel like a lot of them look forward to it because it's like a time where they can see crazy progress. And strength and speed and skill and endurance, hashtag off-season gains, or like for us, it's like hashtag summer gains. And so just asking ourselves like, but like viewing the summer not as like time to relax, but really like as an opportunity to grow so that when we come back in the fall, whether I'm in small group or leading small group, I can come back with like better Jesus stats. Or like, I am better able to fight for community. I like know God more than I did when the, semester ended in May. And so like, just a big part of growing in any capacity is setting goals. And I think just like, kind of what we've been saying, like if I view it as just a time to relax or, veg or it's me time, then like I'm going to get lazy and I'm not going to grow and I'm going to like, regress. And like there's this verse in Proverbs, it's 29:18, and it says, where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. And so if I'm not looking forward to something, and so like in our walk with Jesus, if I'm not like setting some kind of like goal or looking forward to growing in Jesus, my relationship with him, then I'm going to cast off restraint. I'm going to be less disciplined. And so have structure, make a plan, figure out ways that like that I can grow. And then like it's gonna be awesome, and like it's crazy opportunity that we may not have during the semester. And so just viewing it like that is like I think so crucial,
and not seeing it as disadvantage. Like if I'm playing, professional sport, I don't see like the time that I'm not playing a game as a disadvantage. I see it as a way to get better. And I think like, oh, well, community's not going to be as good for me because I'm going home and I live maybe even in a different state than anybody else in Chi Alpha. That's not a disadvantage. Learn. What would you say yesterday? It was so good. Like, if you've experienced it, you can fight for it. Yeah. If you've experienced it, you can fight for it. I think that's so cool. Like, if I've experienced brotherhood from my small group, then when I go home, even if people don't get it, I can still fight for it. And maybe it's not going to, and truthfully, it might not be as good as here, but at the end of the day, you're still building these muscles that you come back and you're like, oh, like now I need to really like make this happen. And like, and the kingdom of God is going to be affected by my summer one way or another. Yeah. Truly, like if I follow Jesus, if I take the summer off, the kingdom of God will be affected in a disadvantaged way. But if I take it seriously and I build these muscles of real devotional life, real community, and real responsibility, at the end of the summer, it's not going to be a waste at all, like at all. So cool. Does anybody have anything left?
Yeah, just like one last thing was, like you're thinking of, oh, I get the summer off. I'm ready for this break. I'm so ready to just relax and chill. Yeah. And we're talking about growth and improving and growing muscles. And it's like, yeah, if you want to be healthy, like you get healthy rest.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's rest in the presence of the Lord, right? Which can still be a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, I want to do this by myself, or I just want to like play video games, it's like, oh, cool. I mean, I can do that.
Right.
But like, can I do it with Jesus?
Yeah.
And like rest in His presence? If the answer is yes, then cool.
Yeah.
If it's not, then like get with your small group and figure it out.
Yeah, seriously.
I would say for me, just like quick closing quote is like, yeah, I mean, it's up to you how you use your summer.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you're going to earn some type of fruit, whatever that is. I mean, if you're up till 5 o'clock in the morning playing video games every night and you sleep until 2 and
right.
that's what you do all day, then like, that's what you're going to be. But yeah, it's just like everybody like has the choice and the ability to like be something greater, but good. Everybody also has the choice to like turn that offer down, if you will.
Yeah, that's really good.
I don't know. I mentioned how it was like in March and April that I was like trying to round guys up to work at that camp. And so it might seem late because it's like the end of April to like do something like that. But like it's not, like, man, if I take this seriously, then like, hey, what can I do? There may be things I can't do because, it's April 22nd and there's people already have work plans and gonna be wherever, but it's like, okay, well, hey, what can I still do? Hey, like, can I stay with someone in Morgantown can I sleep on someone's couch for a summer?
Yeah.
And find a job here at McDonald's. If yes,
as long as I get chicken nuggets, my couch is open.
Yeah, like I mean, like that may not sound like the most comfortable summer, but like that's not really what we've been talking about the last 35 minutes.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah, but like, man, like, could I sleep on someone's couch and work at McDonald's? Sure. I got no job back home and, whatever.
Right,
So just do it. Like, figure out a plan. Let's do it now.
Yeah, make a plan. So, yeah, cool. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We hope you have a great small group. Make a plan, and we will see you later. We love you. Have a great summer. Bye.